Beyond the Gates spoilers for Friday, September 19, 2025 tease that Leslie comes forward and releases the scandalous bedroom video with Ted, a move that immediately alters the delicate balance of power in Dupree's orbit. What could have remained an ugly secret between two consenting adults suddenly turns into a weapon of humiliation, calculated exposure, and social destruction. Leslie doesn't release the video quietly, nor does she rely on a simple rumor to sow doubt. Instead, she orchestrates the release as a performance, knowing that shame spreads faster when it's framed as entertainment. Ted's reputation plummets, his credibility is shaken, his private life is branded as public currency. For Leslie, this isn't about intimacy or betrayal, it's about leverage, and the sharper the cut, the sweeter the victory. The consequences are immediate. The Dupree family is stunned, their fortress of status and influence punctured by the relentless audacity of one woman. In the middle of this firestorm, Anita stands at a crossroads of strategy. She has long been the pragmatic voice in the circle, equal parts calculating and visionary. With Chelsea and Kat's highly anticipated product launch derailed, Anita refuses to let chaos dictate the family's narrative. While Chelsea withdraws, emotionally scarred by her harrowing encounter with Allison's kidnapping scheme, Anita plots a pivot. Her proposal is deceptively simple: scale down the glitz, strip away the open-access vulnerability of a traditional launch, and lean into intimacy. Anita envisions a family-centered event, one exclusive enough to appear safe yet bold enough to invite the world in through the digital window of a live stream. She believes control can be regained not by retreating, but by redefining the rules of engagement. Chelsea's hesitation is palpable. Trauma lingers like a shadow, coloring her every decision. The mere thought of another intruder, another predator in the vein of Allison, gnaws at her. She doesn't want to be the face of anything, much less a broadcast that exposes her home life again to the unpredictable gaze of outsiders. Kat, however, recognizes genius in Anita's idea. Kat is pragmatic too, but where Anita schemes, Kat envisions opportunity. She takes the concept further, adding an innovative twist: a scannable QR code embedded within the live stream, funneling viewers directly to the sales page for their new wallet brand, Chelsea Kat. What would have been a traditional launch morphs into a fusion of storytelling and commerce family drama framed as lifestyle branding, trauma sublimated into digital engagement. Reluctantly, Chelsea consents, cornered by the logic of progress. Yet unease clings to her like a second skin. The family party may appear safe, but Chelsea senses, perhaps correctly, that there is something sinister waiting in the shadows of this broadcast. Anita and Kat believe they've wrestled control back, but Chelsea knows better than anyone that once you open the gate, even to family, you cannot predict what comes through. While the Duprees prepare for reinvention, Leslie quietly consolidates her advantage. Her war against the family is not spontaneous vengeance but calculated conquest. She taps into funds originally set aside for Barbara, Anita's late friend, twisting generosity into ammunition. With the trust in her possession, Leslie secures the financial freedom to acquire assets designed for one purpose: dominance. The jewel in her acquisitions is the house across from the Dupree estate, a constant reminder that surveillance and confrontation can happen without warning. Standing with her daughter Eva, Leslie revels in this purchase, presenting it as the final flourish in her expanding real estate portfolio. For Leslie, the acquisition is less about shelter and more about staging a front-row seat to Dupree vulnerability. Eva, caught between complicity and caution, tries to temper her mother's fire. She doesn't endorse Leslie's provocations, but she cannot deny the thrill of shared success. The house may symbolize hostility toward the Duprees, but it also represents security for Eva, a legacy she inherits by default. Leslie's empire, no matter how controversial, belongs to her daughter as well, and that complicates Eva's conscience. When Leslie boasts about infiltrating the upper echelons of the country club, buying her way into a power position once reserved for Anita, Danny, and Nicole, Eva once again bites her tongue. She knows her mother is building influence, step by ruthless step, and though she may not admire the method, she cannot ignore the outcome. Power attracts alliances, and Leslie soon eyes one in Hailey. The two women share a common enemy, the Duprees, albeit for different reasons. Orchestrated beneath the veneer of civility at Chelsea's celebration, hints at a possible partnership forged in resentment. Hailey, meanwhile, battles her own storm at home. Her marriage to Bill rests on the fragile balance of insecurity and possessiveness, tested most recently by her jealousy over Thomas. Humiliated by her outburst, Hailey seizes on Chelsea's party as an opportunity to reassert dominance, demanding that Bill bring her into Dupree territory. For Hailey, this is about optics. To be seen standing by Bill's side is to claim legitimacy, to prove that she belongs where Danny once did. Bill, weary of conflict yet incapable of resistance, capitulates. His announcement to Danny that Hailey will accompany him to Chelsea's party reeks of defeat, a surrender disguised as neutrality. Danny, however, is far from neutral. Outraged by Bill's cowardice, she condemns both his submission and Hailey's audacity. For Danny, boundaries are sacred. Her daughter's celebration is not the stage for Hailey's insecurities. Danny makes it clear nothing beyond co-parenting exists between her and Bill, and no new wife has the right to dictate the dynamics of his relationships with his children. Anger still simmering, Danny seeks solace in Andre, a man grappling with wounds of his own. Their conversation in a quiet cafe is a duet of disillusionment, each one airing grievances about failed romances. Andre confesses his unease over Ashley's engagement to Derek, convinced that affection has been replaced by pity. Danny recognizes the hollow ring of his concern, for she feels it too. Relationships born of compromise rarely endure. Together, they form a fragile camaraderie, two hearts orbiting the same gravity of disappointment. But even as the Duprees attempt to process their private sorrows, Leslie watches, waiting. News of Chelsea's family live stream reaches her ears, and she cannot resist the temptation. With a smirk, she muses aloud how delightful it would be to attend. Not out of support, of course, but as a stage upon which to flaunt her conquest of Ted. In her mind, every gathering is an audience, every moment of Dupree joy an opportunity for her sabotage. She doesn't simply want them to suffer, she wants them to watch as she rewrites their narrative, transforming their milestones into her spectacle. The looming party becomes more than just a launch, it is a convergence point for vendettas, insecurities, and ambitions. Anita sees it as a reset button, Chelsea fears it as a trap, Kat frames it as a business opportunity, Danny defends it as a boundary, Hailey insists on it as a proving ground, and Leslie salivates over it as a stage. No one walks into the celebration without an agenda, and every agenda is combustible. For Chelsea, the promise of safety feels increasingly like a mirage, each reassurance from Anita or Kat evaporating into the tension of unspoken threats. For Danny, the thought of sharing space with Hailey is unbearable, yet unavoidable. For Bill, compliance has locked him into a role he neither commands nor respects. For Andre, Ashley's looming marriage stings in the background, making him vulnerable to Danny's parallel frustrations. For Eva, the weight of her mother's empire presses harder with each scheme. And for Leslie, the path forward is as clear as it is dangerous, total domination of the Duprees, no matter the collateral damage. Yet beneath the surface of strategy and spite, something darker hums. Chelsea's unease is not mere paranoia. The live stream, meant to symbolize resilience, risks becoming the very weapon that tears them apart. The broadcast's visibility is both an opportunity and a curse, a chance for connection that doubles as exposure. In the digital age, enemies need not break down doors, they only need to log on. And in this carefully orchestrated performance of family unity, the cracks are not hidden, they are magnified. The night of Chelsea's celebration arrives with an atmosphere too carefully curated to be natural. Anita spares no expense in presentation, yet maintains the illusion of intimacy. The decor feels warm, familial, but the sharp edges of strategy can be felt in every detail. The careful positioning of cameras, the discreet placement of QR codes in the background, the subtle cues designed to remind viewers that they are not just witnessing a party, they are being invited to buy into a lifestyle. Kat, buzzing with anticipation, rehearses her pitch in fragments while Chelsea watches with thinly veiled anxiety, as if each word spoken aloud might summon the chaos she dreads. The live stream begins, deceptively smooth. Family members gather, laughter forced at times but convincing enough for strangers scrolling online. At first, the experiment works. Viewers tune in, comments pour across the screen, and sales begin to register through the embedded links. Kat beams, Anita nods approvingly, and Chelsea even manages a smile. For a fleeting moment, it seems the plan might redeem the launch disaster, proof that reinvention is possible. But cracks soon appear. A few comments scroll by, referencing the scandal between Leslie and Ted. Someone posts a clipped screenshot of the damning video, and even though Anita's team quickly moderates, the damage is done. Intrusion has breached the supposed safety of their digital walls. Chelsea stiffens, her hands trembling as she clutches a glass of water. Anita notices, urging her to stay composed, but Chelsea's eyes dart as if expecting Allison herself to step out from behind the curtains. Meanwhile, Danny prowls the edges of the gathering, unable to relax under the weight of Haley's impending arrival. She makes no secret of her disdain, muttering sharp retorts to anyone who hints at reconciliation. Andre lingers close, his presence a buffer, offering small talk and gentle distraction. But Danny's mind cannot detach from the insult of Haley's audacity, marching into this space as if entitled to the role of stepmother in a family that still bleeds from her intrusion. Bill enters late, Haley by his side, and the tension spikes like a sudden drop in temperature. Conversations stutter, glances sharpen. Danny freezes, her jaw tightening into a smile so brittle it might shatter. Haley, however, wears triumph openly. She doesn't need to speak to assert her presence. The very act of standing beside Bill is declaration enough. Yet she does speak, her words dripping with condescension cloaked as concern. She congratulates Chelsea, commenting on the bravery of hosting an event after so much turmoil, a remark that lands more as provocation than praise. Danny snaps back quickly, making it clear Haley's commentary is neither wanted nor appropriate. Bill hovers, useless in his attempts to neutralize the confrontation, his eyes darting between the two women like a referee waiting for a fight to erupt. Leslie makes her entrance soon invited, of course, but perfectly timed. She strides into the event with Eva trailing reluctantly behind, her presence sucking the oxygen from the room. For the live stream audience, it is pure spectacle, a surprise guest, one whose scandal with Ted has already ignited online. For the Duprees, it is a nightmare manifesting in real time. Leslie thrives on their discomfort, her smile wide as she surveys the crowd, her voice loud enough to command attention. She congratulates Chelsea with a tone so laced with mockery it borders on cruelty, then casually references her recent connection with Ted, turning private betrayal into public theater. Eva shifts uncomfortably, murmuring for her mother to dial back the hostility, but Leslie ignores her, basking in the chaos she has engineered. Kat tries to redirect, drawing attention back to the product launch. She pushes the QR code idea, urging viewers online to focus on the innovation rather than the drama. But it's no use. The chat feed floods with gossip, the video link resurfacing, Leslie's smirks amplifying the scandal. Anita, seeing control slip through her fingers, confronts Leslie directly. The two women exchange barbs like seasoned combatants, Anita emphasizing decorum, Leslie flaunting her new country club status as proof she now belongs in the same echelon. To Leslie, this isn't Anita's party, it's her stage, and she will not be silenced. Haley, sensing opportunity, sidles closer to Leslie. They exchange a look brief but electric. Two women bound not by a loyalty but by shared disdain for the Duprees. Their whispered conversation is inaudible to most, but Danny sees it, her anger deepening into fury. She confronts Bill again, accusing him of enabling Haley's presence and now her alliance with the woman determined to dismantle their family. Bill denies involvement, but his words lack conviction, and Danny turns away in disgust, gravitating toward Andre once more. Andre, who has been watching Ashley's engagement unfold from a distance, finds unexpected solidarity in Danny's outrage. They exchange more personal confessions, their vulnerability deepening into intimacy. For Danny, Andre's presence is an anchor against the storm. For Andre, Danny's strength offers validation. Their connection simmers, not yet ignited but undeniable, an emotional undercurrent waiting for the right spark. As the party unfolds, the live stream becomes a battleground. Supporters of the Duprees clash with Leslie's instigations, strangers amplify the scandal, and sales for Chelsea cat products stall under the weight of distraction. Anita struggles to maintain composure, Cat fights to salvage momentum, and Chelsea withdraws further into herself, the night confirming her worst fears. Every sound feels threatening, every shadow suspicious, her trauma resurfacing in flashes. She begins to question whether survival means retreating entirely from public life, leaving Anita and Kat to fight their wars without her. Then, as if the evening needed more fuel, Leslie escalates. She produces a toast, raising her glass not to Chelsea but to new beginnings, a sly reference to her own dominance, her acquisition of the house across the street, her infiltration of the country club, her entanglement with Ted. The toast is a performance, each word a dagger aimed at Anita and Danny, designed to slice open insecurities in front of both the family and the digital audience. Eva begs her mother to stop, whispering urgently that this is too far, but Leslie only smirks. The Duprees splinter in response. Anita snaps back with venom, Kat pleads for order, Danny explodes at both Bill and Haley, Chelsea retreats toward the edge of the room, trembling. The live stream captures it unfiltered, unmoderated, immortalized online. What was meant to be a rebranding moment for Chelsea becomes a broadcast of dysfunction, a global stage for every fracture in the family. Haley seizes the microphone, metaphorically if not literally, insisting on her role in the family's narrative. She positions herself as a stabilizer, the woman who will stand by Bill no matter the chaos. Danny scoffs openly, labeling her an intruder, making it clear that no performance can rewrite the history of motherhood. The two women square off, their argument escalating until the crowd hushes, unsure whether to intervene. Bill, desperate to calm them, raises his voice for perhaps the first time in years, but his outburst falls flat. The women ignore him, locked in battle, each determined to claim legitimacy. In the corner, Leslie watches with satisfaction. Every raised voice, every crack in the Dupree armor, feeds her victory. She whispers to Haley during a pause, promising that together they can dismantle Danny's influence entirely. Haley doesn't commit outright, and Danny can see it in their eyes. Her fury burns brighter, her trust in Bill evaporating by the second. The night spirals further when Andre, attempting to diffuse tension, accidentally exposes his own bitterness about Ashley and Derek. His comments, meant as personal venting, are picked up by nearby microphones and leak into the live stream. Now strangers gossip not only about Leslie and Ted but about Andre's heartbreak, about Danny's fractured marriage, about the entire Dupree network unraveling. Anita's attempts at damage control collapse entirely, the digital audience feasting on dysfunction like vultures. Chelsea, unable to bear the chaos, flees to a quieter room, her chest heaving. Kat follows, pleading with her to stay strong, to remember that the brand depends on her resilience. But Chelsea breaks down, confessing that she no longer trusts any of it, not the party, not the family, not the cameras. She fears that no matter what she does, people like Leslie and Allison will always find ways to tear her down. Kat tries to reassure her, but Chelsea's tears reveal the truth. She feels trapped, not liberated, by the gates her family has built around her. Back in the main room, the confrontation reaches a fever pitch. Danny refuses to acknowledge Haley, Leslie basks in the havoc, Anita fumes at losing control, and Bill stumbles in his attempts to pacify. Eva, overwhelmed by her mother's cruelty, finally snaps, telling Leslie in front of everyone that she is ashamed. The statement stuns the room into silence. For once, Leslie falters, her mask slipping just slightly, but she quickly recovers, laughing off Eva's rebellion as youthful naivety. Still, the damage is the death seed of doubt is not only in Haley but in Leslie's own bloodline. As the cameras roll and the world watches, the party transforms into a tableau of implosion. What was meant to re-establish the Duprees' strength becomes evidence of their fragility, their enemies circling, Their alliance is shifting. Anita realizes too late that the strategy has backfired, that she underestimated Leslie's audacity and Haley's desperation. Danny's anger cements her estrangement from Bill, pushing her closer to Andre in ways neither expected. Chelsea, broken by fear and disillusionment, questions whether she can ever step into the spotlight again. And Leslie, standing at the center of it all, raises her glass one final time, her eyes glinting with triumph. She has turned their sanctuary into her stage, their broadcast into her showcase, their family unity into her weapon. The gates that were supposed to protect them have instead become the arena in which she thrives. The celebration ends not in victory but in fracture, with the Duprees scattered emotionally, their vulnerabilities laid bare for both allies and enemies to exploit. The night closes with unanswered questions. Will Haley and Leslie formalize their alliance against Danny? Will Bill ever find the strength to reclaim his own agency? Or will he remain a pawn? Will Eva continue to stand by her mother, or will she break away? Will Anita find a new strategy to regain control, or is this the beginning of her decline? Will Kat's ambition clash irreparably with Chelsea's fragility? And most of all, will Chelsea ever recover the strength to trust again, or has the combination of trauma and betrayal locked her behind gates that no family celebration can open? The future is uncertain. But one truth has become impossible to ignore: the Dupree family has been forced into a new game, one where every move is public, every weakness magnified, and every victory provisional. In this game, the lines between family, enemy, and ally blur, and survival may depend less on loyalty than on who is willing to strike first. As the days pass after the disastrous celebration, the aftermath spreads like wildfire. Clips from the live stream circulate relentlessly across social media, dissected by strangers, magnified by gossip accounts, twisted into narratives the Duprees can't control. Every outburst is replayed, every harsh word between Danny and Haley turned into memes, every smirk from Leslie transformed into evidence of her dominance. Chelsea's tearful disappearance from the cameras becomes the centerpiece of countless headlines. Heiress breaks down during launch. Chelsea Dupree, too fragile for the spotlight. For the family, humiliation is no longer contained within their gates, it has gone global. Anita is furious at the collapse of her strategy. She blames Leslie for orchestrating the chaos, Haley for fanning the flames, Bill for his weakness, and Danny for letting emotion overrule composure. But beneath her anger lies exhaustion, the weight of realizing that money and planning cannot contain enemies who thrive on spectacle. She convenes a private meeting with Kat and Chelsea, determined to salvage what can be saved. Kat, still clinging to optimism, insists the brand can rebound if they lean into transparency, if they admit mistakes, spin the disaster as authenticity, and market Chelsea Kat as a story of resilience. Anita listens, but Chelsea remains silent, her eyes heavy with fear. The thought of facing cameras again terrifies her. For Chelsea, recovery is no longer about products or reputation, it is about sanity, about reclaiming the fragments of herself that trauma and betrayal have chipped away. Meanwhile, Danny distances herself from Bill entirely. His willingness to let Haley parade into their daughter's life, then flirt with alliance with Leslie, confirms what Danny has long suspected: Bill is incapable of protecting his family from toxicity. She turns instead toward Andre, their conversations deepening into something more than shared bitterness. Yet Andre carries his own wounds, his resentment toward Ashley festering. Danny wonders if aligning herself with him is wise, or if she is simply repeating the pattern of connecting with broken men. Still, in Andre she sees an ally, someone unafraid to voice his pain, someone who makes her feel less alone. Haley, on the other hand, revels in the spotlight her conflict with Danny has given her. For the first time, she feels like more than Bill's wife. She feels relevant, her presence undeniable. Leslie capitalizes on this, inviting Haley to lunch at the country club, whispering promises of influence, power, and shared victories. Together, they could rewrite the Dupree legacy, undermine Danny completely, and secure their place at the top of the social hierarchy. Haley, flattered and emboldened, listens carefully. She does not fully trust Leslie, but she craves validation, and Leslie offers it in abundance. Eva, however, becomes increasingly disturbed by her mother's obsession. She begins to distance herself quietly, confiding in friends outside the family that Leslie's vendetta consumes everything. Watching her mother manipulate Haley only deepens her discomfort. For Eva, the realization is dawning: wealth and power may offer comfort, but when they are built on cruelty, they leave scars no inheritance can heal. Her loyalty to Leslie weakens with every public stunt, and though she doesn't yet confront her outright, the day is coming when Eva will have to choose a side. The Duprees, sensing the walls closing in, begin to strategize in new ways. Anita leans into alliances with Nicole and other country club allies, hoping to counter Leslie's growing influence. Danny doubles down on protecting Chelsea, positioning herself as the shield her daughter needs, even if it means locking horns with both Bill and Haley more aggressively. Kat works tirelessly to salvage Chelsea. Kat, convinced that controversy can be transformed into marketing fuel if handled correctly. Yet at the center of it all, Chelsea struggles. The more her family fights around her, the more she feels like a pawn in their battles rather than the daughter they are trying to protect. As tension mounts, whispers of another event begin to circulate. This time, it is not Anita's idea but Leslie's. Rumors suggest she plans to host her own lavish gathering at the house across the street, inviting the same community, the same online audience, daring the Duprees to watch as she flaunts her power from their doorstep. The prospect terrifies Chelsea, infuriates Danny, and forces Anita into a corner. If they ignore Leslie, she wins. If they retaliate, they play directly into her game. Bill, caught between loyalty to his daughter and devotion to his wife, sinks deeper into paralysis. Haley pushes him toward Leslie, insisting they attend the rival gathering as proof of unity. Danny threatens to cut him out entirely if he dares. Bill realizes too late that neutrality is no longer possible. Every choice he makes will alienate someone he loves. The climax begins to take shape when Chelsea, after weeks of silence, makes a surprising move. Against her family's advice, she releases a personal video online, not a commercial, not a product pitch, but a raw confession. She speaks directly to the camera about her trauma, about the kidnapping, about the betrayal of trust, about the impossibility of living a life under constant scrutiny. She doesn't name Leslie, but her words cut sharply against anyone who exploits others for entertainment. The video goes viral, but in a different way than the live-stream disaster. Instead of mockery, it sparks empathy. Strangers flood the comments with support, framing Chelsea not as fragile but as courageous. Anita sees opportunity in the response, but Danny warns her to back off. This moment, Danny insists, belongs to Chelsea alone. Kat agrees reluctantly, recognizing that the brand cannot consume Chelsea's healing without destroying her entirely. For the first time, the family unites around a single choice: to protect Chelsea's agency. Leslie, infuriated by Chelsea's newfound strength, accelerates her plans. Her party becomes more than a social gathering, it becomes an act of war. She leaks teases online, hinting at more revelations, more videos, more humiliations to come. Haley clings to her side, eager to prove her relevance, while Eva watches in silence, her conscience unraveling. The night of Leslie's party arrives like a storm on the horizon. Lights blaze from the house across the street, music echoes, cameras roll. The Duprees gather at their windows, watching, waiting, unwilling to attend but unable to ignore. Chelsea sits in the center, her family flanking her, their silence heavy with anticipation. Then, in a moment of uncharacteristic bravery, Chelsea stands. She declares that she will not watch Leslie rewrite her life again. Instead, she will host her own counter-event, not a party, not a product launch, but a gathering of her choosing, built on authenticity rather than spectacle. The family listens in stunned silence, then slowly begins to support her. Anita offers logistics, Kat offers creativity, Danny offers protection. Even Andre steps forward, promising loyalty. Bill, conflicted, tries to speak, but Chelsea silences him with a look. For once, the night is not about his indecision or Haley's demands, it is about her. The story closes with uncertainty, yet also with clarity. Leslie's lights burn bright across the street, her party loud and gaudy. But inside the Dupree home, a quieter fire ignites. Chelsea, once the most fragile, now holds the power to reshape the narrative, not by playing Leslie's game, but by writing her own. Whether she succeeds or fails remains unknown, but the final image is striking: two houses facing each other, two families divided by vengeance and pride, and one young woman standing at the center, ready at last to decide which gates will remain closed, and which she will open on her own terms.